Hey, Garini here. Today I wanted to talk more about Cyrene's build, her breakpoints, her relic choices, a little bit about planars, etc., and how it can impact her performance and when she should use which sets. Not much else to say, but like and sub if this video helps. And before we begin, thank you to today's sponsor. If you want to buy some pools with your spare cash, well, Lootbar is a platform with cheap prices and after-sales service to help with any problems. They're also giving out big coupons for new users. You can buy your classic top-up items at a reduced price or bundle up, and coupons and deals are available for even cheaper purchases with what looks to be good results. For example, the highest top-up for me is normally €99, but drops down to 73 here. All you have to do is input your UID in the top right, your server just below, no risky account login, and then you choose which item to purchase, click here, and you can pay as normal. As you can see, I can then log into the game and my shards will be here, and even with any bonuses from first time top-ups. And this has worked a couple times already. So if you want to get gems for any of your favorite games, use my link below in the description. Anyways, stay safe and spend responsibly. So in my main guide, I offered 3 relic build possibilities: 2 piece speed combinations, the Eagle set, and the Deliverer set. But I want to go a bit more in depth into each one and when they work best. 2 piece speed combos first. This is the easiest farm out of all of them. I'm sure you have plenty of Sakados or Hackerspace or even Warrior Goddess pieces lying around from farming for various different supports. So many units use speed 2 pieces, and many also use the 4 pieces from said sets. So in terms of farming efficiency, 2-piece combos wins. But what else makes it good? Well, having 12% speed in your build helps Cyrene achieve 2 notable breakpoints. First off, the 180 speed breakpoint for her bonus ability, which unlocks a 20% damage buff to the whole team. But secondly, the 200 speed breakpoint allows for 3 turns in the first cycle without any extra advance forward, as well as 2 turns in every subsequent cycle. This is so powerful for recollection generation and thus team amplification. For some supports, acting an extra time in a cycle doesn't really matter, but if you manage to hit 12 recollection in a cycle breakpoint, that could significantly improve your run with compositions, for example with Anaxa or Maide. To use this as a general set when you don't have the other 2 relic options, Eagle or Deliverer. Also, it is great for teams where she does a bunch of damage, as speed will scale her Ice Res pen past 180 speed. And finally, Final teams will use this because Eagle does nothing, and Deliverer is anti-synergistic with Final's rotation. But what if you can only get to 180 speed? Well, then this set becomes less impactful than the next 2 choices, because at a baseline, 180 speed, that's 2 turns in cycle 0, 2 turns cycle 1 in wave 1. If we add Vonwak, that's 3 turns cycle 0, which is why it can be important to run, but 1 turn cycle 1. Technically at 184 speed, you could hit 2 turns cycle 1. But that's all wave 1, which is significantly weaker than wave 2. Vonwak does not affect wave 2 for Cyrene. Vonwak helps wave 1, which will help the next wave, but you don't get that advance forward anymore. So here you'd only hit 2 turns cycle 0, 2 turns cycle 1. You are hitting 24 recollection in wave 1 with a 3-turn setup on any of her standard teams. So if you are able to act 3 times in wave 2 cycle 0, it allows 3 extra recollection on that final turn, on top of more possible recollection stacking from allies. This can be the difference between giving Anaxa 2 extra turns to giving him 3 extra turns, which is a crazy damage swing. An extra ult on her in some teams can be a difference maker for clearing ASAP, unlike a lot of supports in the game. So after all that has been said, how do we achieve the 3 turns in wave 2? Well, if you can't hit the hard 200 speed breakpoint, then up comes the Eagle set, and there is a giant stigma against this set. The general consensus from the community is that it is a 0-cycle sweaty tryhard set that you shouldn't farm forever. And in most cases, it is used for 0 cycles, but that doesn't mean it won't help anyone else. It's not like getting extra turns will hurt your team and rotation just because you did a 1-cycle clear. And Eagle set doesn't just turn off when you finish cycle 0, it still works every single ultimate. And for Cyrene, I really like it. I often avoided over-recommending Eagle in the past because I understand the stigma around it and got a lot of toxicity, but at some point you gotta explain how good it can be. She has one of the better ultimate generations among supports once she hits that initial 24 recollection. Yes, the initial ramp-up can be slow, but then she's hitting her mini ults every 2 turns. We like to meme about her ult generation, but what better way to help generate it than 25% advance forward every time she ults? If you don't want to farm it still, you can at least use Relic Remains. She doesn't necessarily do too much damage outside of a couple teams, So all you need to do is legit hit speed substats. Level up any piece with speed. It'll help her build and most other Eagle users. If you find crit rate and HP percent along with it, cool, but speed is the focus here. And also, there is a Relic event coming soon. I don't know the full details, but that could also potentially be used to farm a God Eagle set, hopefully. Anyway, what does this set change from 2-piece speed combos? Well, 184 speed with 2-piece speed combos and Vonwek is 3 turn cycle 0, 2 turn cycle 1, or 5 whole actions. On wave 2, they get 2 turn cycle 0, 2 turn cycle 1, or 4 whole actions. And now for Eagle. At a minimum of 174 speed and Vonwek without Eagle at all, Cyrene hits 3 turn cycle 0. If she ults once, she also hits the 2 turn cycle 1 thanks to Eagle, so 5 actions as well. But then onto wave 2. At that same 174 speed, with 2 ultimates from Cyrene, you can act 3 turns cycle 0 unlike the 2-piece speed combo setup unless it hits 200 speed. So we get 1 extra action in cycle 0 over the previous Relic build pretty easily. Hitting 200 speed with 2-piece speed combos is mathematically harder than hitting 174 speed with just Eagle. Of course, it's not as efficient to farm, but that's a different topic. But also, that turn on Eagle has to matter, and often it can. A turn on Cyrene is 3 recollection, but it also lets you get additional recollection from any allies that can act just after that turn within the cycle breakpoint. So mostly it's for character ultimates. But if an extra Cyrene ultimate happens, that can mean big things for some teams. An Axa or Maide get a whole additional turn or Godslayer within the breakpoint, and that could be the difference between clearing in that cycle or not. And as said before, just because you don't zero cycle doesn't mean the set isn't impactful. A 180 speed character on wave 2 will act 2 turn cycle 0, 2 turn cycle 1. With Eagle at 174, we have 3 turn cycle 0, 1 turn cycle 1, or 2 turn cycle 1 if we can ult 3 times total wave 2. And it'll keep stacking up for more actions. Every 4 ults is a whole extra turn on her. So even if you have to clear all the way until cycle 5 for the normal Jade reward, Eagle set would have given at least 2 extra actions for her before this threshold. Now, I say 174 because that's what you need for the 3 turn cycle 0 wave 1 with Vonwek, but ideally we are hitting 180. Your Eagle set can and should be farmed all the way up to 180 speed, but it is hard. Memory Curtain is her de facto Lycone, which gives 12% speed, and her signature helps a little extra too. But one way you can really help hit 180 anyway is RMC with the new Amphoria set. 8% speed means that we hit it from 174 speed without any extra investment into Cyrene's build. Even outside of MOC, it's still useful for Pure Fiction to clutch turns before that whole mode ends, or maybe before your grit buff ends. And in AS, it's all AV based, so the more actions as soon as possible, usually the better. Having ult earlier can help ignore mechanics like bosses acting or summoning enemies, so the extra possibilities in rotations is a nice bonus. And as for the Zero Cyclers, I mentioned in my guide video that one of the big complaints about her is that she sucks at Zero Cycling because of the slow ramp up. Now, I didn't say that, I was mentioning the complaint, and instead I mentioned in the video that she can do some crazy Zero Cycles because of her Wave 2 power. I just avoided mentioning it too much because people hate it, and her Zero Cycling or not does not matter. Either way, for those that do enjoy this extra challenge in gameplay, Eagle's set makes her Wave 2 power really strong, and she can do some amazing clears because of the amp she provides, but also because of Eagle set. Firstly, because of that initial 3 turn cycle 0 wave 2, which cannot be achieved with any other set unless you can hit 200 speed or use a lot of dance procs. But also because if you can completely clap wave 1 and enter wave 2 with 24 plus recollection, you could even try for 4 turns on Cyrene. It is extremely hard to hit or requires a little less speed and some dance procs, but I thought it was fun. You'd use this set on any team that isn't Finan, but also the Memrisprite team might want the next set instead. They can still absolutely use Eagle because Cyrene can ult even more frequently with them, but that frequency also lessens the impact slightly of her acting within breakpoints. Also, in the member teams, she does a whole lot of damage, which means Deliverer and 2-piece combos would help more for amplifying that. So speaking of Deliverer, this gives Cyrene a bunch of stats for her personal damage, and then a team-wide 15% damage buff. This can be stacked with other users like Evernight on the same team. Now, it won't be active on Cyrene until her ult, which means pretty much most of the entire first cycle will be missing it. Luckily, the Memrisprite team has a much earlier ult activation timing, and either way, wave 2 is where it's most important. Deliverer can be used on other teams, but I'd prefer trying to reach better breakpoints with the previous sets. So for a summary, use 2-piece speed combinations when you don't want to farm other stuff. It helps you hit 180 speed and can get you to 200 speed, but takes a lot of substats. Use Eagle if you want to improve your Cyrene. More actions in earlier cycle breakpoints are always good, but for people that don't care for low cycle clears, it will just also give extra turns out of thin air down the line that can help you clear. And you'd use Deliverer for memo teams, but you can also use Eagle here as well. For Finance teams, he will just use 2-piece speed because he cannot effectively use Eagle or Deliverer with Cyrene. Your planar will still be Vonrak, especially if you can't hit 200 speed. It helps ramp up on any sets here and ensures wave 1 is as smooth as possible, to then let you smack wave 2, which is the real problem. The only time you could swap off is if you're in a Mera Sprite team where extra turns matter less in wave 1, and so you could instead opt for the new Amphoris planar ornament set to boost your team speed. But yeah, let me know what you're going to build on your Cyrene, and thanks for watching. Thanks to my amazing YouTube members, thanks to my friend Ali for the suggestion, help, and chat on this subject, and have a Guoba day.